say I'm throwing the election in Mexico just because I read the Financial Times.
Oh, it's because I'm reading the Wall Street Journal.
Right, so therefore we're immediately suspect. Because the average dinkle brain out there doesn't know, how to look past their iPhone, and they'd have no idea about economics or finance, and they would give their mothers away for another like on Facebook as part of being inculcated in a true immersive fascist state of no economic or financial or press freedom whatsoever. The Facebooks of the world. What did Facebook do to you?
Facebook, I had 60,000 people following me on my personal Facebook, and they just cut it off just before the election in France, because I was giving the list, the huge list of layoffs in France and in Europe because of Brussels. And when my followers fell until like 20,000, they give my Facebook back 2.5 years later. This is how it works. And my Wikipedia pages in Spanish, English, French, Italian, in Chinese were taken off. I mean, this is absolutely amazing because my books are translated in different languages.
Right, so it's immediately suspect. So what is the current state of play here in Paris, in France? What is the thought? It doesn't seem as though there is a feeling of a crisis at the moment. But tell me, what's your view, the man on the street? What's the thought going through people's head here?
The thought here is that Macron might do something good, because they all knew that we're in a disaster financial state. So the average French people say he's a banker, he's from the financial world. He might find solution to save us. I don't think he's going to save France at all, but maybe in 1 year or 1 year and a half, people will react totally differently. And we have the election, European election next year, and you will see a total censoring, la censure, on all internet in France, just to help Brussels people to be re-elected. They cannot afford to see what happened with Donald Trump.
What is the story between, let's say, Germany, France, and the United Kingdom? Because they voted for Brexit, and initially it looked like that it was going to go off, was going to happen. But now we're almost 2 years into it, and it looks like it's a complete disaster. And Germany is playing hardball, and the Great Britain looks like they're going to get the worst of all possible worlds, and it was a complete disaster. What's the view from here in Europe, in France, toward Brexit?
Basically, the English have never been in Europe exactly because they kept their own money. Don't forget that. They were not in the Eurozone. So we don't care very much if you have a control at the rail station, European or not European. You have a control, so it doesn't change anything. The business don't care too much about Brexit or not Brexit. I mean, the links between France and England are 100 years old now. So, but between Germany and France, that's it's not very, very good. Macron and Merkel, their relationship are extremely bad because of the migrants, the immigration.
Right. Is she vulnerable because they took in a lot of migrants in Germany?
Yeah,
now?
she's very vulnerable now, and I've seen, as you did, of course, that she might be in danger in the next couple of weeks.
Let me ask you a macro picture here. My theory is that you have a situation where Trump is trying to downsize the American military budget or try to save money because America's in debt. So he does a deal, North Korea, they're going to pull out of Korea, in my view, pull the weapons out. Then he looks at NATO and says, why do we have all this military in Germany? Let's dump it. So then if the U.S. pulls out of Germany militarily and pulls out of NATO, doesn't that kind of force Germany into the arms of Russia?
No, not really. The Germans are really pro-Americans. That's for sure.
Okay, so let's roll with that. So you're saying that there is the huge affinity there, yeah, and the dynamics of World War II are still in place.
Yeah.
And so what if, let's say, the U.S. pulls out militarily, pulls out a lot of hardware from Germany, What is that a possibility? Do you think at all? Do people think about that?
No. Take a look at what happened last week. I mean, the Pentagon sent 400 or 500 special forces in Finland or Norway, and they keep sending people to build a kind of wall, American wall against Russia. So from what we see from here is that the Americans want to have a war either with China or with Russia. This is what you can see. I mean, there is no reason to bring in Europe even more tanks and artillery and so forth if you don't want a war. Well, what's the point of it? They want to have a war. So the American cannot reimburse their huge debt. The only way to escape this debt is to have a war. Because when a country is in war, they don't have any kind of debt to pay.
Fair enough. Pierre, thanks so much for being on the Keiser Report again.
Thank you, Max. Merci à toi.
Okay.